Welcome to this explainer. Look, we're going to unpack something today that sounds completely overwhelming, but is honestly absolutely fascinating: the journey of building a billion-dollar company. Now, instead of looking at this like some impossible mountain to climb, we're going to break it down into a highly actionable, structured roadmap. So if you've ever wondered what actually separates the massive global titans from everyday businesses, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Okay, let's kick things off with a pretty stark reality check. Nearly half of all businesses fail entirely within their first 5 years. Half. And of the ones that do survive, fewer than 5% will ever cross $1 million in sales, let alone a billion. The road to a billion is literally littered with traps. But when we study the few that actually make it, a very, very clear path emerges. To keep this whole complex journey totally digestible, we've organized the 8 critical challenges outlined in our source material into 5 distinct phases: the odds of success, the billion-dollar spark, scaling the machine, building the fortress, and finally, becoming immortal.
So let's jump straight into phase 1, the odds of success, and why 99.99% of businesses never reach a billion.
We really have to address the very first stumbling block, where almost every entrepreneur gets stuck right out of the gate. A billion-dollar business doesn't just happen by accident, right? The vast majority of companies never reach a billion simply because they never planned to in the first place. Most entrepreneurs set out to solve small, highly local issues. Think about opening a neighborhood coffee shop or starting a local marketing agency. Now, you can absolutely earn a great living doing that, but it's never going to scale to $1 billion because the scope is just way too small.
Moving right along to phase 2, the billion-dollar spark, or finding the right problem and product.
Listen, if you want to build a billion-dollar business, your very first challenge is to find a billion-dollar problem. You have to completely abandon those tiny local problems and go out and tackle massive global inefficiencies. Look at Uber taking on the completely broken global taxi industry, or Airbnb jumping in to solve the problem of overpriced hotels and underused homes. They hunted down problems that were so enormous that solving them unlocked billions of dollars in value. But hey, finding that massive problem, that's really only half the battle. The second challenge on this roadmap is creating what we call a category-defining product. Take electric cars, for instance. They've actually been around for over a century. But before Tesla, nobody really wanted them. They were clunky, they were slow, they were just this weird, eco-friendly niche. But then Tesla comes along and makes the Model S fast, sleek, and highly tech-driven. They didn't just iterate on the electric car, they set a completely new standard for the entire auto industry. They turned a niche experiment into the undeniable future.
All right, phase 3, scaling the machine, moving beyond the prototype.
Because here is a hard truth for you. A category-defining product without a highly functional system behind it, it's really just a prototype. So many great companies die right at this stage because the founders mistakenly think building the product is the finish line. Nope. The third challenge is moving from a great product to building a massively scalable distribution system. Think of Amazon. Yes, they sell everything, but their real magic isn't a single product. It's that unbelievable network of warehouses, vans, and drivers. They literally built an engine to get anything into anyone's hands, anywhere. Or take a digital example from the source material, the Alux app. It scales by distributing fundamental financial and entrepreneurial tools directly to hundreds of thousands of users digitally. Bottom line, distribution is how you win.
Now, once you've got your distribution scaling exponentially, you're going to hit a wall. You'll quickly realize, wow, I can't be everywhere, I can't do everything, and I definitely can't make every single decision myself. Which brings us to a profound truth: businesses scale on people. And that naturally leads to our fourth challenge.
That fourth challenge is crafting a truly powerful company culture. Google is the absolute textbook example here. From the outside, you might just see free lunches and colorful ping pong tables, but the real culture is a shared set of values that fosters serious innovation without needing top-down approval. Remember, Google actually encourages its employees to spend 20% of their time on outside projects. That specific culture is what organically birthed massive, world-changing hits like Gmail and Google Maps.
But as you scale with all those new people, the initial thrill of rapid growth is often replaced by sheer, unadulterated chaos. One missed email suddenly turns into 10,000 late shipments. A tiny buggy update crashes millions of devices. So the fifth challenge is instituting operational excellence. If you want to be a world-class company, you have to do absolutely everything in a world-class way just to prevent the whole machine from collapsing under its own weight.
To really get our heads around operational excellence, we have to look to post-World War II Japan.
Companies like Sony built these massive international reputations by making extreme efficiency their guiding principle. And I just love this detail from the source. It wasn't only about how they manufactured the electronics. It was about everything, down to keeping their offices absolutely spotless and demanding neat handwriting from their staff. The philosophy is so simple, but so powerful. How you do the small things is how you do everything.
Which brings us to phase 4, building the fortress, defending your territory.
Because here's the catch, guys. Once you're operating with that world-class, Japanese-like efficiency, you instantly become a massive target. Everyone else is going to want to take what you've built and run with it. So your 6th challenge is securing a competitive moat. Just like a medieval castle, you need a moat to protect your business from copycats and fend off constant attacks from competitors trying to eat your lunch. A really strong moat ensures that once you fight hard to win a customer, they actually stay with you, meaning you can grow without constantly shrinking back down.
Just look at how these competitive moats map out for the heavy hitters. Sony's moat was their unbeatable operations. Amazon and Coca-Cola, they rely on absolute mastery of physical distribution. Google's moat is their unparalleled access to massive data, combined with that unique culture we talked about. And Apple, they have built the ultimate ecosystem. Every new device locks you in just a little bit tighter until the very idea of switching to an Android or a PC becomes completely unthinkable to their users.
Now, features can be copied, right? Prices can be undercut. So to survive for the long haul, your 7th challenge is building a truly iconic brand. This means you have to stop selling just a physical product and start selling what the source calls the thing behind the thing. Think about it. Coca-Cola sells sugar water, but what they're really selling is happiness. Nike sells shoes, but their brand is all about victory. Volvo sells safety. Toyota sells reliability. You are elevating from selling a basic item to selling an entire identity.
And nothing illustrates the sheer crazy power of a brand quite like Red Bull. On paper, they sell an energy drink. But in reality, their brand is completely synonymous with adventure, adrenaline, and extreme risk-taking. Here is a wild fact. When people take blind taste tests without knowing it's Red Bull, they often call it disgusting. Literally, they hate it. But the moment you slap that iconic Charging Bulls logo on the can, people go absolutely crazy for it, all because of the lifestyle that brand represents.
Which brings us to phase 5, becoming immortal, the absolute endgame of business.
At this point, you've done it all. You've built the product, scaled distribution, fostered a culture, optimized your operations, and built an iconic brand. Now you're transitioning from a highly successful business into a permanent pillar of human society. The 8th and final challenge, for the 0.01% of companies that make it this far, is becoming too big to fail. This means weaving your company so deeply into the fabric of daily human life that the modern world literally cannot function without you.
So what does immortality actually look like in the real world? Well, millions of people couldn't even imagine life without their Apple iPhone. It's practically become a physical extension of their own memory. Microsoft software is the absolute backbone of global governments and corporate infrastructure. Visa and MasterCard are the invisible networks keeping trillions of dollars flowing every single day. And think back to the biggest banks in 2008. Governments literally had to bail them out because if they vanished, the entire global financial system would have collapsed with them. Now that is systemic integration.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground in this explainer today, exploring the 8 monumental challenges on the roadmap from finding a massive problem to building an immortal billion-dollar company. By breaking it down into these clear steps, I really hope this journey feels a little less impossible and a lot more structured for you. So I want to leave you with one final provocative question to chew on. If you were going to start this exact journey tomorrow, what billion-dollar problem would you choose to solve?